right, please give a lot of applause to Patricia Rosenberg.
Hi. So I grew up in the 60s on the south side of Chicago, and I am number 9 of 12 children. And I had this like really red hair. And it didn't work for me real well because I have really attractive brothers and sisters, and I wasn't. And there was too many of us. So I lusted over this commercial of, I don't even remember, you have to be old, how much is that doggy in the window? And that was Cuddly Dudley, and you had to get a subscription to the Tribune, and you got this free giant poodle. And I wanted this so bad, and we couldn't afford it, and we had the newspaper already. And then my mom says, Mrs. Kelly wants to see you. So I run down the street to go see Mrs. Kelly. I always visit her, and she gives me this Cuddly Dudley. And I go, why, Mom? Why did she pick me with all the brothers and sisters? And she goes, because you're Irish and you have red hair. She's Irish. She has, she likes redheads. I said, oh, that was magical. That was the first where my redhead worked for me. But the next day it kind of fell apart for me because Tony next door said, my mom said, because you have red hair, you get mad all the time. I said, well, your mom is wrong. And I pushed him down. And then when I was about 18, I finally, I didn't date much. I didn't get much dates. And I go to an Irish bar on St. Patrick's Day. Well, I was popular. And you could have put a red wig on a potato, and it would have had the same effect. I mean, these guys were over me like a cheap suit. I mean, I was getting proposed to. I got drinks all night. I mean, this was my new life. So anyway... So naturally, I got married about 10 years later to a Jewish guy. And so Stan and I are married for a little while, and we have to go to this funeral on the south side of Chicago. And I got to warn you, everyone's going to be drinking. This is a funeral on the south side of Chicago. I go, so be careful. I said, it's wild. So we go there. I'm at this funeral. I run into all these guys, all these cops, all these Irish guys. They're drunk. They're trying to pick me up in front of my husband at a funeral. I mean, this is Southside drunk guys. And my husband thinks it's hilarious. And, we drive home, and he looks at me, and he goes, Patty, if anything ever happens to me, I want you to just stand on a corner of some Irish neighborhood, and some Irish guy will pick you up and take you home and take care of you. I said, okay. So anyway, so we fast forward, and we are married 25 years. We have 2 boys, and Stan suddenly dies. And he dies of a heart attack, and it's sudden. And it's a year later, and I am a mess. I'm 55 years old. I'm a social worker, so I am looking for support groups. Try to see, and I look them all up, and everybody's 80, and I didn't know what to do. And so I finally Google support groups, and I get a dating site for widows. And so I'm looking on the dating site, and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't do this, and I don't think I should move on. And I see this funny Irishman. And I'm like, oh. And then I start remembering when Stan told me that if anything happens to him, so, okay, Stan. So I answer funny Irishman, and this guy named Denny from Milwaukee who had lost his wife 2 weeks before my husband died. He was married 38 years, and anyway, so I called him. We got together. It was magic. And we have been together now for 3 years. Now, I want to talk about how well this Irish thing has worked out for us. So we have all right, we were desperately trying to find a house on Browns Lake because we love Browns Lake. And so we save all our money. We're walking around Browns Lake. There's one house for sale. And the woman goes, I heard from my neighbors that no one would let them buy the house because they wanted to take the bar out of her house. And so she wasn't taking any offers. She was like, her husband was Irish, and he made this house, and she wanted to keep it the same. So I go into this house, and this house has 2 bars and a waterfall with alcohol coming from it. And she goes, and Denny's name is Donahoe, so we go in there, and she goes, how do you feel about the bar? I'm Irish. I need a toilet and a bar. And she goes, okay, it's sold. So anyway, so what we learned from all this is that there's an old Irish proverb that says, life is not about sitting around and waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance to the rain.